Hey, I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. You want to play some Legend of Mana? This is the recent remaster of Legend of Mana. I've picked it up on the Nintendo Switch via the eShop. And I picked up a couple other games as well on request. People have asked me to take a look at a couple of other games. So I will be taking a look at this game from the perspective of a developer, but also as a gamer and a longtime fan. Legend of Mana was one of my inspirations when I was growing up. I absolutely loved this game. It was one of the most beautiful games that I'd ever seen as a kid, and it still is to this day. The music, the story, the presentation, the artwork, the hand-drawn environments are so unique in the games industry, and I'm wondering how the visuals will look now that the game has been updated and upscaled. So this is going to be such an interesting topic for me because I believe that the artists have redrawn the environments. People say they've used AI upscaling. I don't believe that they have only used upscaling. What they've achieved is something that takes a lot of manual work. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. The Legend of Mana Remaster was developed by M2 and Digital Works Entertainment. I will load up my save. I've started this ahead of time just to quickly get into it. I like that there's an autosave. That's a great feature, especially considering we have a different expectation these days to have some degree of autosaving. So it's good to have that. But also, if you're playing this on a mobile platform, your battery can run out, and that is all bad news. So there's something to me that really gives us away that this has been redrawn. I believe that there has obviously been some degree of scaling up, whether or not they used AI. This is possible without AI. What they would have done is just scaled up and then drawn over every single visual element in the environment again. So every environment in this game is basically just a painting. There is no 3D geometric data here, and after the painting is created, it is split into layers so that depending on the position of the player object, the layers can either be enabled or disabled. So this is a layer here. You see this signpost? So our game objects exist on coordinates here. We have the X coordinate, which is left and right, and the Y coordinate, which is up and down. So if the Y positional value is at a certain position, then this will either be above or below the player. Now in the past, we'd have to turn layers on and off. It depends on the era of development that you're looking at, but I believe that these are just objects that exist on the plane as well, and the player is able to set its depth, which is the sorting depth, the order in which objects are rendered here. So this is taking the player's Y position into account and saying the higher the Y value is in terms of going up towards the higher values of the screen there in position, then the depth will be lower, and the lower that the character position is, then the higher the depth, which means the character will be drawn above the layers. It's such a fascinating technique, whereas something like this, that should always be above the player, so that's not something that needs to be calculated. So it's interesting to consider this. This is stuff that I had never thought about when I was playing this as a kid, and this was one of my favorite games growing up. It was fantastic. Let's go ahead and head to the homestead here, and we'll take a look at the visuals. It's so delightful. So this is, I only have a couple minutes of gameplay into this just to get the game started. And I really like what I see. I listened to the music a bit, and it is reorchestrated, which means that it is no longer using the original sound font that was used for the PlayStation. And there does seem to be some reorchestration. I don't know how much work was done. I need to give a closer listen to it, but it feels like there is some difference in the arrangement for the music. So what is such a strong giveaway here? Oh, yeah, I have to re-recruit him. I'll head into my house. So something that tells me that this is not AI is the amount of coherent detail in the environments, especially, let's head up to the first room here. And what I mean by coherent detail is that AI upscaling is not the same as generative AI. It is pixel interpolation. And AI, whether that is for upscaling or whether that is for generative, purposes, there is no understanding. AI does not have any understanding whatsoever. It is actually arbitrary. But we don't, the people that are pushing AI want to make it seem like it's this big, powerful, wonderful, beautiful thing that'll save you and it'll solve every problem in your life. It is arbitrary and it doesn't have any understanding. And so if we say, for example, have a look at the lines in the floorboard, you see these details in the lines here, those didn't exist in the original artwork. You see the depth in the windows here, there is expressed through these highlights here. These highlights tell us visually that this window pane has depth to it and the light streaming in. If we have a look at the original artwork, that did not exist. AI cannot add that in, and if you try to add that in, it's just going to look like a sloppy mess because AI has no understanding. What we see through, say, for example, the folds in the bed sheets, if you have a look at the ornamentation in the wood above the bed, all of that carving in, you have to look at the what appears to be a clock here, where the character is facing right now. All of those small details, you see where there's a joint in the wood. If you have a look at this column here, the post, there's a joint in the wood there, where all the joined wood at the buttresses or whatever they're called up top. All of that stuff has intent. There's artistic intent there. And AI cannot have artistic intent because it doesn't have any understanding. You need to be a human. It doesn't matter if you're a dog or a bird, you still don't have an understanding of artistic intent. Especially here with the rope. Have a look at the rope where the character's facing on this sack here. That requires artistic intent to fill in the detail for that. If we take a look at the original artwork, there is not enough pixel data in there to have extrapolated this visual information. So this one room alone tells me this was not AI generated or AI upscaled. They may have used AI upscaling just to scale it up. And again, AI upscaling is not the same as generative AI. AI upscaling has been around for way longer and it is a legitimate, genuine tool, but it is not the ultimate solution. The ultimate solution is for artists to do the work. And what I see in Legend of Mana is that artists have done the work. This, whether this was just by linearly upscaled or whether it was AI upscaled, the artists have drawn over it again to make sure that there is artistic intent, that there is artistic direction. And I'm so pleased to see this. When I see this, I can see the massive amount of work that has gone into this because the artists hand drew this. And the original artwork was entirely hand drawn as well. And so for the artists working on the upscaling, for them to hand draw the artwork again is doing justice to this work. This is the exact opposite approach that Square Enix would have taken for a Final Fantasy game. For the Final Fantasy remasters, Square does the bare minimum and they produce very sloppy, visually incoherent and inconsistent work. And what I see here is the exact opposite. The developers that have worked in this have taken extreme care in what they are working on. I believe that they probably have a lot of respect for the source material. Just have a look at the light of the fire. You see this fireplace has little windows on the side. Not only do you have the front of the fireplace, you have the windows on the left and the right, and you see the light seeping out of the left and right windows on that. It's so delightful to see that. I believe that is baked in. That is not a visual effect. I believe the lighting... Oh, they're able to animate just... They're not tiles. We don't use tiles in this era of gaming. But there's a portion of that image that's basically just an image, and they are animating just that specifically. I forgot what this room looks like. This is so delightful to me. Let's see. Yeah, the character is occluded by the haloing of the light, the glow, the light glow. You can see that I am the character's I. We say I because the character is us. The character is me. Let's see here. Yeah, the character is occluded properly by that. It's so great to see. Okay, look at how lived in this environment feels. The artists that originally created this said this is a lived in space. Look at all the stuff. You know, the characters live here. Look, there's candles on the ground. There's books scattered everywhere. And oh look, there's a little, a quill for writing. Oh, fantastic. Look at all the books. Just the beautiful hand-drawn details. Somebody thought of this. Somebody thought this is what this fantasy space would feel like lived in. And they really focus on a sense of whimsy and magic. Like, this world feels magical and whimsical. Look at the columns above it. Are they called buttresses? Oh boy, I'm not an architect. I got to study on my terminology here. But have a look at the columns up top as they bend and swerve in this almost surrealist way. This kind of feels like, early German expressionism in filmmaking in the early 1900s, like a Nosferatu, and the architecture just bends and warps. It feels whimsical. It feels magical. And AI cannot understand something like this. It doesn't understand what art actually is. Art is communication, and it is sharing the idea or a feeling, and that communication is filtered through your life experiences. The artists that have had life experiences filter those ideas, and it creates this really fascinating, warm, magical world. Nothing in this world is just rigid and flat. Everything has a flow to it. It's so delightful. Oh, I can't open that. That's a little disappointing. Let's take a look at the environments. This is, I would say this is the most beautiful game that I have seen within at least the past 5 years easily, because it's hand-drawn art and it achieves what it is trying to express in such a vibrant and expressive way. And you cannot just push a button and make something like this exist. We have generative AI, and it can pump out, ooh, a grassy field, ooh, a mountain landscape, but it is dull and lifeless and meaningless because it wasn't created by a human. It's pointless. There's no meaning or value to it. This is absolutely gorgeous because every single brushstroke was created by humans who are trying to say something. And the only reason they are able to create this artwork is because they have spent their lives developing their ability to be able to create art. Every single brushstroke, every pixel that we see, every shape, every piece of shading, every shadow, every highlight exists only because these artists have lived rich, vibrant lives in which they accumulated the understanding of visual communication, and they honed their craft so that they can create this expressive, wonderful art. This is gorgeous. Have a look at this. So you see those supporting columns? They're not columns, those supporting beams along the top. Now on the far end, you can see them extend all the way across to the other side of the building. But here we have this is a great artistic decision here. They've actually cut off the beams. Now, this is a little bit of abstract concept because we understand those beams are not cut off. They're not actually cut off, but if they were to be expressed, if they were rendered and drawn the whole way through, they'd be blocking the scene. They'd be occluding much of the detail, and it would look worse. It would be distracting because then we wouldn't be able to see the rest of the environment. So the artist decided, let's just cut that in an abstract way. So fantastic. This is so great. Now, the pixel art is really wonderful. What I really would have liked to have seen, this is not a negative. They made their choices here for whatever reasons, because when it comes to game development, you have a limited time and a limited budget to produce your project. I think they focused on making the environments as beautiful as they can, and they've done an excellent job so far. I've only seen just a small amount of the environments, but I'm hugely impressed right now. I would have liked to have seen the sprites upscaled. Now, this is a very touchy subject in the games industry because people are really sensitive about the sprite work, and it's kind of like, oh, you're auto-tuning someone's voice, That's really the same kind of taboo as, well, that artist, that singer performed this, why would you? Recently, the Eagles re-uploaded a video of one of their live performances, and they auto-tuned Randy Messner's performance towards the end and it's really upsetting. The auto-tune sounds terrible. And that he didn't need auto-tuning on his voice. And I believe that's a similar reaction people to have to upscaling the pixel art as well. The pixel art was fine the way it was. Why did you upscale it? In the next few days or so, I'm going to upload an episode for this channel where I take a look at the Saga Frontier remaster on request. People have asked me to take a look at the Saga games. They have upscaled the art, but I believe that they didn't just run it through an AI upscaler. I believe they have redrawn it and it looks excellent. It is fantastic, fantissimo. I don't know why I said that. I've never said that before. That's not a catchphrase that I have. I don't have catchphrases. I don't think I've ever said fantissimo. I don't know why I said it just then. Uh, but it is. It's oh, look at the little fibers on the edge of the rug there. Oh, they really paid close attention to what they're trying to say in the environment. I don't know if this is a racist caricature. I don't know if I feel kind of weird. I don't know if that's racist or not. I need to recruit my character that left me. This is so warm. Look how the room sort of fades into soft shadows in the corners, and in the areas where they want us to focus on, where our focal point should be, it's brighter here. Like, it feels like there's this warm glow, like light streaming in from the ceiling. Have a look at the glowing elements on the lamps here. Really fantastic. Can I? Oh, I can't go in there? Dang, it's probably just a bathroom. I see a sink in there. I wouldn't have noticed these details in the original version because the pixel density was so very low in the original PlayStation version. So I would have liked to see the sprites here upscaled the same way that they were upscaled in the Saga Frontier Remaster, because it looks fantastic. Oh, where's my guy? Where'd my guy go? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He's supposed to be here. I'm gonna go to the caverns and see if he's there. The music, fantastic. My new catchphrase is now fantissimo. I don't have catchphrases, but I guess that's gonna be mine for now. And I hope he's in here. I don't know where I'm supposed to go if I can't pick him up again. I never understood the sort of this element system with the little spirits there. I should probably figure it out. Okay, where? Oh, I don't know where my guy went. Uh-oh. Okay, well, I do want another character. I really like the character artwork here. This is interesting to me. This does look like it's upscaled, though. The character artwork, I don't know what the deal is, but there's a harshness to it. There appears to be some degree of harshness and artifacting. I don't know if they had access to the original artwork and if they could scan it in high resolution or not. But the portraits have a harshness to them that to me looks like they did use AI upscaling on it. I don't know if that is 100% accurate or not, but that's just what it looks like to me. I'm just making a very quick and brief judgment on it. I'll grab Nico and I'll do the highway. That was always, I don't know if I would say he's my favorite character, but probably one of my favorites, because he's a cool bunny man, and he has bunny foo, or whatever his fighting style is. Let's go ahead and grab him and we'll do the highway thing. I don't know where the guy went. I don't know where to go to re-recruit him. So let's grab Nico. This is, and all of these characters are so vibrant. It may be that every single NPC has unique visuals to them. I'm not 100% certain on that. I didn't pay attention when I was a kid because, you know, I wasn't that smart when I was a kid, honestly. I wasn't reading his text. I was busy looking at the environments here. Okay, no, it's not dangerous to leave town. Yeah. Yep, let's beat up some bandits. Yeah. Yes, let's go to the highway. That's usually the mission that I do first. But I missed the dude. Where did he go? Okay. Did I mess up? Was I not supposed to let him leave my party? I don't know. I'm actually just going to load my save file because I'm kind of worried I messed up here. So we were just at the markets, and I wanted to point out, you can see all the really fascinating hand-drawn detail in the stalls. You see the items that the merchants are selling. It's so heartening to see developers put in effort. A game like this, with this level of presentation, is hard to make. This is harder to make than, say, for example, you know, an Unreal game with hyper-realistic graphics. That's not hard to make because the engine does all of the work for the developers. You can get assets. There's artists that specialize in making assets for visuals and audio and special effects, and you can just get those. And that's why we have a homogenization in the games industry right now, as people are getting these universally applies to everything assets. They stick it in Unreal, And Unreal, unless you do a massive amount of work yourself, it's going to look the exact same as every other Unreal game. And I'm not here to make fun of people or to criticize or be mean to people or say things negative, but making a game look hyper-realistic does not take any skill, talent, or artistic understanding because the game engine does everything for you. You cannot just make a game that looks like this unless you have a massive amount of understanding, skill, and talent. That's kind of useful. I'll keep that in mind in case I want to quickly leave the dungeon. So I think I talked to that guy. This is interesting. This is actually just a big sprite here that is overlaid over the environment. It also includes the player as well, so it makes it look like it's light coming in from above. Nice little details like that. I do like that. See, it's making the sprite brighter as I go in there. So yeah, I do like it's little flourishes like that that help you feel like this is an environment that exists, that is lived in. I'm blocking part of the screen here a little bit. I just want to beat up some guys, honestly. I just want to beat up some guys. I want to level up. I want to pick up some little gems, and I would like to buy some new equipment. I'm going to have a friend come over this week, and I think we'll play this game multiplayer. Let me see. Candy? No, I took my candy. I wanted that candy. Okay, hold on. Okay, that's my block button. I got to jump. I will go. I don't want to bore you. Oh, I think I missed the item. I don't want to bore you, but I will go into my menu, and I'm just going to see if I can... I didn't get any gems at time. Okay. Look at this sleepy little baby dragon. I like him. I love the sprite work. You know what? I'm understanding. I get it. The reason why they didn't upscale the sprites is because they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to be lazy and use AI upscaling. They would have wanted to hand draw the sprites. And I just realized this game has an absurd amount of animation. So all of the enemies have a massive number of frames. They're very expressive. They feel alive. To animate is to bring to life. And obviously, we are not bringing these things to life. If we did, that would be horrifying. I would have a lot of questions. I would be terrified because I'm a developer. I've been animating. And if I were to bring something to life, I would feel a life-ending amount of existential dread, let's say that. So we are not bringing things to life. This is not a Frankenstein's monster situation, but we are making these things feel like they are alive. There are so many frames of animation here. This would have taken a massive amount of work to upscale all the sprites. And, you know, we can be honest about this here. Square Enix sucks, and they most likely kept the budget very low for this. Square Enix's management is not the type to make decisions based on creating good art and good experiences for the players. Square Enix really only cares about maximizing profit. So I'm confidently going to say that the developers of this are the ones who cared. Square Enix as a publisher did not care, but the developers, the amount of care that they've shown here is very telling. They really cared. They were really passionate about this. But I believe that they had a minimal budget and minimal time to work on this. If the developers were given the proper budget and the proper time, I believe that they would have upscaled the sprites by hand drawing them. And I believe Square Enix just didn't care. I think Square Enix says, here's $50. How quickly can you put this game on modern platforms? And I think the developers did a brilliant job. I would love... I don't use the word love lightly, but this game is very important to me because this is hugely inspirational to see something like this where it takes a massive amount of artistry to make something like this, and the developers created something that has stood the test of time. This still looks brilliant. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. And I mean that metaphorically, and that this is a beautiful game. I'm stunned. And also, the boss hit me with a big, big hit, and I'm stunned. I don't have any health items, so I don't even know if I have any special attacks or anything, but I'm glad I didn't get hit by that. Now, I think you can assign... I know that you can buy magic items, and... Oh, I gotta move. Okay, yeah. Yeah. You can assign them to your shoulder buttons. I do recall that. I shoot him in the butt. Oh, he's throwing that. He's throwing that. Now, you're going to see the difference between a modern game and a vintage game. This is not a retro game. The word retro, the entire internet has been misusing the word retro. Retro is something new that is created to style match something that is old. Something that is 20 years or older is vintage, so this is a vintage game. One day we're going to have antique gaming. I might live long enough to enjoy antique gaming. Antique is more than 100 years. Vintage is 20 to 99 years. Don't get hit by that. So again, you're going to see the difference between modern gaming or modern design philosophy and vintage design philosophy. I'd say this is towards the end of the 90s. I would say this is from the golden age of the games industry and RPGs in general. But you see how there is no sort of like a red circle or a red square that shows where my character is going to get hit. There's no hit box indication visually of where the boss's attack is going to land, but I can still understand where he's going to attack because he has an animation where he's charging up, and then when the attack is active, you do see an indicator there. But if this were a modern game, you would see, a red circle, a big red circle on, oh, don't stand here or the boss is going to hit you there. Or there's going to be, a red rectangle that goes across the screen. I don't really like that, but I also do really like that. As a developer, I don't like that because I think there should have been a better way to indicate that doesn't break the immersion, because having those hit boxes be telegraphed breaks the immersion. It takes me out of the environment. It makes me think, oh, okay, I'm not in this wonderful, fantastic fantasy world. I'm playing a video game. That's what it forces me to feel. And this maintains that, but it achieves the exact same thing. I can tell where the boss is going to attack because of the actual animation and because there isn't an overload of visual information. You'll see modern games have a huge problem. They have visual diarrhea. That's a technical term. It is visual diarrhea. There's so much on the screen going on that the viewer, the player, has no idea what they're supposed to be paying attention to. And so modern developers, put these bright red hitboxes on screen so that we know, okay, well, don't stand there. It kind of ruins the game for me. But then also as a gamer, I like having it because I don't want to get hit by the boss. The solution to that is to get rid of the visual diarrhea and to have the boss perform animations that are much more meaningful. So that is one solution. I didn't think I was I was going to be explaining, I didn't think I was going to deep dive into that so deeply. Anyway, this has been so delightful. Look at the visual. This environment feels so alive because it's split into layers. Have a look at this this layered image here. So this is a layer. It's an image. It's not even animated. It doesn't have multiple frames, but the environment is split into layers. We have the foreground layer here. You have the background, and you have the fog, the mist that is just drifting. It's tiling. It's repeating. And look over on the far left, we have a drop that falls down from the ceiling. That is not a particle effect. That is just hand animated, and it is translated across the screen. And when it hits the bottom of that stalagmite, stalactites come from the ceiling, stalagmites come from the bottom, because a stalagmite might reach the top. There's no guarantee it'll reach the top. So there's your memory cue for the day. Stalactites come down from the ceiling, stalagmites from the bottom, because they might reach the top. Okay. And look at the light shafts streaming in from the ceiling, and it visually tells us that perhaps there are holes in the ceiling and the light is streaming in through there. If this was a modern game made by modern artists, and again, I'm not trying to slag on and insult modern artists, but modern artists don't have the same level of understanding when it comes to visual expression, because we are relying on game engines doing all the heavy lifting for us. And when you have a tool do all the work for you, you stunt your ability to grow and develop. You stunt your ability to increase your understanding of the world and visual expression and art. And these artists didn't have those things. These artists, have a look at the backgrounds. You see, there's some sort of illumination from the background, and it's not realistic. These days we're so obsessed with realism. Ooh, look how realistic Unreal is. I'm gonna stick up for Pearl. I will, no, excuse me, sir. I will not stay out of this. You would not have defeated that boss were it not for me, sir. So I will not stay out of this. I'm a strange someone. This guy needs to go to counseling for his anger issues. So again, the background is illuminated, and it builds a sense, not only does it build a sense of wonder, like what is back there, what is causing the cave to glow back there, but it allows the environments to pop in an interesting way. If this was created, again, by a modern artist using Unreal or whatever, then that would just be dark. It would fade into darkness back there. It'd be very dull. I guarantee you, look at any artwork that was created within the last 10 years where people rely on software to do all the heavy lifting for them. These artists created something that looks magical. It looks like maybe there's magic gems back there, you know? What is causing the background to illuminate like that? Okay, so I do see line work in that. I'm torn on the hand-drawn artwork there. Parts of it have a harshness to them, and it may not have anything to do with AI upscaling. It may just be they've done some post-processing on this, and it makes it look harsh in some areas, but I'm seeing line work in there, and the line work on that does look hand-drawn. So I'm so torn on that. I didn't think I was going to go for so long on this episode. We'll end the episode here. Thanks very much for spending some time with me today. I'm going to record a second episode now, and then I'll upload that in a few days. So I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this game. I hope you've enjoyed learning a bit about game development. I forgot how to... Where do I go? I go to my bed to save my game? For some reason, I keep thinking it's the mailbox. It's not the mailbox. I'll go to the bed. Okay, I'll see you in the next episode. Take care of yourselves and be well.